Welcome to our second week of Integrated Stats and Methods. You've successfully completed the first week, and I was very pleased with everyone's work. If you haven't found it already, you can go to your grades over here on the left-hand side, clicking on grades. I believe you can see your report several ways, but I think the user report is the most useful. You will be able to see your assignment grades, your test grades. When you get final project grades, you'll be able to see them in here as well as your extra credit. So that's a nice way to clearly see what your grades are. I've graded everything for last week now. I'd encourage you to go back and review your assignments and your tests and look at my comments. I take a lot of time to give you feedback to help you learn, and so please take advantage of that and take a look at them. In terms of any mistakes or problems I saw last week, I just wanted to kind of review the biggest things, the most important things we covered were the independent and dependent variables. We will be coming back to those. So to kind of just give you another review, I wanted to go over the extra credit because I think it's a nice example. So this was the Atheist Shoe example, where this is a company that sells, it's called Atheist Shoes, and they sell shoes, and they were interested in if they ship shoes from Germany to the US. If they use their atheist packaging, does it make a difference? So they sent a number of packages, half of which had atheist tape on it, and half of which had generic tape. And they basically measured how long it took for packages to get to the US, and how many of the packages were lost. So when I asked you about the independent variable for this, the independent variable is the thing that's manipulated. In this case, the tape is what is manipulated. So when I ask you for the independent variable, I'm looking for a 1 or 2 word answer, not describing all of the options, but describing what is manipulated. Then when I ask you of the levels of independent variables, this is where I want you to go into details. Here you would say the 2 levels of the independent variable tape were atheist tape and generic tape. And then, of course, the dependent variable is what is measured. This is the outcome. So in this case, the outcome was how long it took for the package to be delivered and the number of packages that disappeared. So that's as simple as, or as complicated as you need to get. But really focus on kind of paring down your answers. You will get the answer wrong if you say something like the dependent variable is how tape affects the amount of time it takes the package to get there. I want you to narrow it down specifically what is the dependent variable, in this case the length of time. Okay, so moving on to this coming week. You've got a few things going. One of the biggest changes we'll have is your final project is starting. So you've got the first stage of your final project, which will actually be due on Monday. You can find final project information up at the top here. I've got a final project information and files section. The first thing is your final project assignment. This basically lays out what you need to do. Basically what you're going to do for this final project is read a research article and write a 6 to 8 page paper, half of which is going to be summarizing your article, the other half is going to be proposing a follow-up study. So this week you'll need to get your final project or your article approved by me. Next week you'll have to submit a draft of your summary. The week after will be a draft of your follow-up proposal, and then a final paper. So this kind of outlines all of the answers that you need to be able to answer in your paper. I'm not going to go over all the details because that's a little bit in the future, but what you should be able to see is you need to pick an article. I have several articles listed here that you can choose from if these interest you. If they don't interest you, you can find your own on EBSCO or PsycInfo, which you can access through the library page. We don't have time to go into great detail about finding an article, but if you know how to do this and are interested in doing it, by all means, I encourage you to explore those options. And so what you need to do by Monday is send me the article that you would like to use, and I will approve it. So I've given you until Monday at 10 a.m. so that if you're doing this late on Sunday, you need to have my approval by Monday morning. So make sure you email me by Sunday and I'll get back to you by 10 a.m. on Monday. So after that, we're going to cover chapter 3, which covers ethics. And you've got an additional reading for this chapter, the Brandt reading, and then you have an assignment related to that reading. Essentially, the reading has to do with kind of an ethical dilemma or an unethical experiment that was conducted. For the assignment, I want you to pretend like you're an ethics reviewer and decide, would you hypothetically approve this study? And then we're going to cover chapter 4 covers observations. We're going to talk about correlations. So this is kind of our first analytic tool. Correlations are a little bit complicated, so I've provided you with a number of different websites that give you an opportunity to kind of experiment with correlations and learn a little bit more about them. I'd encourage you to take advantage of them. And then your assignment has to do with observations. In this assignment, you have to actually go out and do observations, so don't wait until Sunday night at 11 o'clock to do them. I'd encourage you to take a look at it ahead of time and kind of plan ahead as you're doing this. And then that's it for this week. Next week, we'll get back to talking about experiments, so don't forget everything you learned last week. But have a good week, and of course, contact me if you have questions.